So let's talk about Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. The Invisible Woman. She can go invisible and make force fields that block almost anything. She is Reed's wife. Should mention that she and Reed Richards are married. And it seems like she actually has some of the scariest potential in terms of her powers. Mark, you explained to me that she can do things like put a force field around someone's heart to give them a heart attack.
Yep. She could just seize your heart because she doesn't have to see where she makes force fields. And she is also very smart. Like, no one in the Fantastic Four is really dumb, right? Even the Thing is like a world-class pilot, right? Like, he's like one of the best pilots there is. So they're all smart enough to use their powers in very creative and terrifying ways. And kind of how I was saying that, Mr. Fantastic powers are kind of lame besides him, stretching, and he can do some kind of cool stuff with that, and he can learn really well. On the other side of that coin, Sue is terrifying. Like, if there are plenty of times where villains will go after her kids for various reasons, because her kids are very special, and Sue will roll up, and she is like the scariest mama bear. Like I would rather the Hulk go after me than Sue thinking that I did something to one of her kids. Because, there's times where she'll just show up and just put force fields in the back of everybody's eyes and be like, you're all blind. And if you ever want to see again, give me back my kids. And that's it. Fight's over.
Dang.
She's crazy. She's crazy. There are times... there are times when Reed will go into his lab for weeks, and it's okay because if anything happened, Sue's got it. Very few things are going to pop up that Sue can't handle.
Yeah, she's a cool character, and she's being played by Vanessa Kirby.
Great casting.
She's awesome. I mean, I think I'm most familiar with her from The Crown. She played young Princess Margaret in the first couple of seasons. She was really, really good, and she looks great in this. She was in one of the Fast and the Furious movies, Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, yep.
Was it? Yeah.
She was Shaw's sister.
Yeah. That was also just a fun movie.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun, yeah. But yeah, I think that the same way that Reed is the dad of Marvel, Sue is the mom. She is very... being real, she just has her shit together. She every time something goes on, she's like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna call Tony and get these assets, we're gonna do it makes sense that they're kind of in this movie they're showing that she's kind of the face of the industry, she's the person who's going out and making different relations with people, and setting up certain deals to allow Reed to use his inventions to better society. Because their foundation, the Future Foundation that the Fantastic Four founded, is all about using science to better humanity. In Marvel, they've provided multiple cities with renewable energy. They have defense grids for space to stop random debris from hitting Earth, because in Marvel everybody's in space apparently. Everybody's been to space at some point.
Yeah, so, I mean, do they ever team up with Sword and Shield, for example?
So Shield and Sword, both those government agencies, use a lot of tech that are either based from Reed or Reed will just give them. Reed will show up and be like, hey guys, this isn't on your radar because your radar's not as good as mine, but there's going to be an invasion that happens 3 years from now. Here's this piece of tech you need. Okay, bye. I got to go back to my lab. And that's pretty much when Reed shows up and he's like, hey, I'm giving you something that you need. It's in your best interest to just take it, because whatever he's saying is going to happen is probably going to happen. Very, very rarely is Reed wrong. And when he is wrong, it's a big deal. It's something it's either Doom had something to do with it, or it's something so big that he just can't. His brain just can't, do anything. Like it's he can think all he wants, but like for example, when we saw Reed in Multiverse of Madness, right? And
yes, played by John Krasinski.
yes, exactly.
Right.
So when you saw him and you first see him and you just see him like phase into the scene in this like blue portal thing, right? You don't even see him stretch until the fight with Wanda happens, because that's just kind of how he is. He doesn't really need to. Now, spoilers, when he gets turned into spaghetti by Wanda, in that it kind of shows the shortcoming of Reed, of being like, oh, this is a person, I'm just going to appeal to their better nature. Like, that level of optimism and like not really seeing the situation for what it is Reed. Like, that is Reed in a nutshell. If it were Sue, that would not have gone that way. Like, if Sue were there instead of Reed, I'm pretty sure that entire situation would have been squashed. Like, they would have
that's
gone.
probably why she wasn't there, because
Yeah.
you were talking about earlier about how she's like Mama Bear, and it like instantly brought to mind the fact that like they really made Wanda's entire story arc about her children. So
Yep.
Like I'm sure like if Sue were there, Sue would have probably found some way to talk Wanda down and be like, let's find a way that you can be with your kids. Because I'm a mom and I get it.
Yeah.
Let's use magic and science to try to figure something out. And I'm pretty sure I would have been like, okay. And that would have been the end of the credits. That would have been it.
So women, they always fix everything. Well,
Yeah.
and also to circle back to what Laura was saying in the beginning, that really puts that line from the trailer about her saying like, we'll deal with this as a family into much more perspective. Because like that's a great intro to basically what you were saying as far as what we can expect from our characters. So
yes, they are very family focused, but not in like a toxic way. Like it's very wholesome. Like almost like one of the initial reasons why Reed, and we'll talk about Ben, the Thing later. One of the reasons why Reed decides to go public with their powers and everything and come forth to the public is because Ben got turned into the Thing, and he wanted to make sure that Ben, which is one of his oldest friends, felt included. So he wanted to be like, we're all going to come forward and tell everyone we have these powers and you're part of the team. We're going to show them how much you help everyone. So like, because like somebody like Reed, who's that much of like a science-minded person, doesn't really care about fame. Right? He doesn't care about being famous. If he's in a lab for the rest of his life, he's happy. Right? So like that was more of him trying to help his friend. Because like before he met Sue, Ben was the person who kind of kept Reed grounded. Like Ben is the most grounded person in the team. Like he's the most New York Marvel character ever, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and we can, since we've chatted with or about him for a minute here, we can actually talk about him a little bit before we get to Johnny. But you were calling out Mark. He is really the most New York character in Marvel.
Yes, he is.
He's, if you could do process of elimination here to figure out who he is, but when he turns, he's big, orange, rocky, and he's very grumpy. He's got like grumpy dad energy, but he still loves everyone and wants to do the right thing. And Pam, you called out ahead of the episode that his tagline, it's clobberin' time, was kind of a throwback. Because I also have not. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they do that in the movie. I'm sure they're going to. They have to.
Yeah, they need the clip for like the action figure
if
tie-in.
they don't do it, the theater's gonna riot. If there's no clobbering time,
it's like how you have to hear Johnny say "flame on."
Yep.
There
better be a scene where he has a massive watch and he just goes, "Would you look at the time?" And it's just clobbering time all around the watch. But yeah,
I have a question. It might be a dumb question, but maybe like there are no dumb questions, so maybe somebody else is wondering this, and y'all can just like lay the answer down once and for all. So, unlike the Hulk, he just stays big rocky dude forever, right? There's no going back.
That is just his. That is just his. He is just like that all the time, and a lot of his
cross to bear.
story, yes, a lot of his story is, you know, different people approaching him. Like Doom has tried to flip him a lot and be like, hey, if you want, I can use some magic to turn you back into a human, you know, but you gotta spy on Reed for me or something, or you gotta give me something. And because Ben is just such a homie, he will always choose his family over himself. You know, that's just how he is. Like he is, like even I said earlier before, Spider-Man. You know, Peter, he hangs up the Fantastic Four a lot, and Ben is kind of like his uncle, and Spider-Man's like, I can't lose another Uncle Ben, so please be careful. Please don't.
No.
I know. But I mean, he's damn near indestructible. So you know, I mean, even him.
So
and
a
Hulk,
safe Uncle Ben.
exactly. Like even him and Hulk, like him and Hulk fight all the time, and like you can say Hulk's technically stronger because Hulk's whole thing is he gets stronger the matter he gets. But the fact that the Thing can just roll up on the Hulk and fight him to a standstill a lot of the times is very impressive. It easily makes him one of the strongest people in Marvel. Like in terms of just raw strength, like raw power, he is one of the strongest. Like if there was something happening where you needed somebody big and strong, and if the Hulk was not around, the Thing showing up is your best case scenario. You know. But yeah, he is out of all of them, he is the most regular guy out of all of them, which is, it shows the duality of his character because he looks like a monster, but he is the most human out of any of them.
And the emotional heart
yes.
of the group too.
Yes. He definitely keeps them grounded. In fact, a quick short tangent about Reed and Ben and their relationship. The Ultimate Universe, the one where Miles comes from, the kind of almost, it's just like the Marvel Universe, but it's slightly different in key ways. In that universe, I forgot what exactly happens, but Reed gets separated from his family. There's some drama, the Fantastic Four split up, and Reed's just by himself. And Reed goes mega evil. Like, evil. Like, he is one of the most biggest bad evil people in that universe. In fact, when that universe ends, Reed, Ultimate Reed, which his new name is the Maker, finds a way to go to the main Marvel universe and starts doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. So like, it just shows you how much Ben and the rest of the family ground Reed. Because like, when he doesn't have his family around, he just goes so deep into science that he's like, the world is so flawed and I can use science to just make it better. But he's going about it like a scientist. So he's like, oh, this country just shouldn't be here anymore. And that's it. He'll just find some way to just get that country out of there. At one point, there's something he needs with Tony, Ultimate version Tony, and he just kidnaps him and tortures him until Tony tells him what he needs to know. And it's like, that shows you how crucial the family is for Reed. Because he's so smart, and he's regular people problems sometimes feel so alien to him that he needs people that are very human like Ben to ground him, so he kind of gets it.
Yeah. No, I like that. And it makes sense that someone like that would need a grounding presence. By the way, Ben Graham McKay, the Thing, is being played by Ebon Moss-Bachrach.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last name is pronounced. Who, I mean, you would recognize, I think, from, what's his show?
The Bear.
The Bear. Thank you. I was like,
yeah.
It's an animal, the bear. I have not watched it yet, but I know I need to. I've heard from everyone.
He was also in season 1 of Rogue One.
That's
not Rogue
right.
One, it's Andor. Andor.
Yes.
Yeah, Andor.
I mean,
Same thing. Yeah,
it's the same thing.
But
yeah.
You talking about how he's like, Ben is the most New York character. Like that's to it. Like you can tell why they cast him purely based on his character cousin alone on the Bear. Like he is like very much like the every Chicago man, blue collar worker on that show.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I mean, even in the original, well, not the original, but the movies in the early 2000s, right? With,
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
The guy that was from The Shield, the show, the cop show, The Shield. That guy, perfect casting for Ben.
Yeah,
like, I was
I
like,
can see it now.
Out of everybody, like, Chris Evans, good Human Torch. That was good too. But like Chris Evans and The Thing were probably the best cast people in that series, hands down. Like when he's gonna whoop somebody's ass, he'll literally be like, I'm gonna take you down to Yancey Street, and that's where he was. That's his home street. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't make this up. This is perfect. This character is perfect.
That's amazing. Well, let's circle back to Johnny real quick here. Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch. He's Sue's little brother. And he's also very into himself. He's hot metaphorically and literally, and I think in his own mind. But even though he is very much kind of like a typical younger character, almost like teenage, depending on who's writing him, he is still pretty ridiculous. Like, he can basically turn himself into a sun, which would destroy our entire solar system. So he's still ridiculous, but I think he's like the more like, I don't know, class clown of the group.
Yeah.
If we were to find one.
I feel like he's the Spider-Man of the group, right?
Yeah,
like he's the I'm young and my struggles come from a lack of experience. That's kind of Johnny's thing. Like, he's still a good guy. He is very vain, right? And he does have an ego on him, but I mean, he's a teenager that got basically godlike powers, and he doesn't have any of the struggles that Peter Parker has. So of course he's going to be super arrogant and super, like, you know, that makes perfect sense. Like, the thing that grounds Peter is all of his struggles. But like, if Johnny lives with the world's like best scientific minds and money's not really an issue for them, of course he's going to be like that. But the fact that him and Peter are still friends just speaks to the character of Johnny. Like, he's still a good dude, you know, because otherwise why would Peter would be like, oh, you're kind of a jerk, get out of here, you know. But like, they're still close, you know. Like, Peter's helped. Like, Johnny has come to Peter's aid multiple times where he'll just show up and be like, get your hands off my friend, and just wreck people's, you know, shit all over the place, which is cool, you know. But like, he's out of the group, he is very like, he's a teenager. I mean, not anymore. He's grown up over the years. But like, when he first got his powers, he was in high school. So it's like, yeah, he's a kid with fire powers, and he can fly and go into space, and, you know, become hot enough to melt a city block if he wanted to. You know, like, that's pretty much Johnny. I mean, there are things that happen later on in the story that really like add to his character a lot. I don't think they're going to do that in this movie, because it's way later on in the Fantastic Four's history, you know? So I feel like they're going to just keep it simple and be like, he's the younger brother that's a swell guy, but he just doesn't really have his arrogance and like hot-headedness and kind of like brash, like, you know, fly in first, ask question later thing is going to be what, you know, defines his character. Kind of like all the younger X-Men, right? Whenever you see an X-Men movie and there are younger X-Men characters, that's kind of the same vibe.
No, it makes sense that maybe they wouldn't go too much into his story, at least right now, because we know what they're building towards, right? Like, we know Avengers Doomsday is one of the things they're building towards. Obviously, with Reed's character, they have to introduce Doom. We know that Doom is going to be played by Robert Downey Jr., which is, I mean, that's a whole other conversation about the MCU that we're going to have here in a few minutes. But first, we do need to take one more quick break to hear messages from our sponsors, but then we'll be back to have some longer discussion about where we see the MCU going and how we think they're doing right now, and what to expect from Fantastic Four.